Greetings and salutations, this is Imperator Vespasian and his trusty sidekick.
Hello!
Today we're taking a look at the Ursus Armoured car, which was it's a standard armoured car used by the Polish army. Now calling it an Ursus is a bit of a thing. The W29 was the Ursus. The W28 was another form of armoured car. There were multiple forms of armoured car. I think there were only about 10 Ursuses built, whereas there were 20 odd W28s.
You like the Ursus?
I like the Ursus. Basically, Poland built a lot of different types of armoured car, but they were all basically the same. And a lot of them are mistaken for the W28 is often mistaken for the W29. People see it and say, that's a W29, that's an Ursus, but it's not, it's actually a 28. Because they are very hard to tell apart, basically. The only difference is the gun is lower down on the 28 than the 29. that's the only main difference.
That's a lot of difference.
And the guards, the engine guards are slightly different, other than that. But there were several armoured cars, so you can really use these as anything. The actual Ursus, the 29, was used in only one armoured unit. So they only actually turned up once during the war. So using them in Polish games would be silly. So it's just a generic armoured car, and there were many of them. So you take your picks. Call it an Ursus, who cares? No one knows anyway. So yeah.
I didn't know what an Ursus was until I saw it.
Yeah, so this is basically the armoured car. It's just a standard armoured car like any other armoured car of the period. It's got a machine gun. It's dual drive. It drives backwards and forwards. And technically the front is the back. So although it drives that way, it's got a little crank at the front to start the engine. Yes, engines used to start by putting a crank in and winding it. It's cool. But it's designed to fight backwards. Because that way, you see, it's got the same armour front to back. See? So it's got this classed as an armoured car front and back.
It'd be hilarious if it got caught at the front.
Well, it wouldn't matter because the front would be the same armour as the back.
Yeah, but it won't have one gun to fight back.
Well, yeah. So it's got a machine gun mounted on the back with an armoured plate, and it's got a turret with two guns on it, and it doesn't fire both guns at the same time. That's only for childish, silly people. It's a dual turret, so you can fire your anti-tank gun or you can fire your machine gun, so you choose which one to fire. That's why it doesn't actually have a gun sticking out the back of the turret. It just turns the turret to face the front. So if you put these this way, then that one's got its howitzer facing forward and that one's gun facing forward. So it's machine gun, yeah. So that's what that's for. Gun-wise, this has got a howitzer on the front. It's an anti-tank gun in bolt action. It's an anti-tank gun. It was actually a howitzer. It was an anti-infantry howitzer. It wasn't an anti-tank gun. But the bolt action rules do state that it only has a +3 penetration. So actually, they probably did understand what it was. So it's basically a light howitzer, but it's technically an anti-tank gun. So it gives you an extra. So it gives you 3+ penetration instead of 4+. Yeah. So it's not that good at anti-tank. However, in the actual battle of the Ursuses 14, Ursuses? Armoured cars. In the actual battle where the armoured cars fought in, the famous ones, there were, I think, 4 armoured cars, and they gave the Germans a bloody nose. They took out, I think, 1 tank, 2 armoured cars, injured quite a few Germans. They did quite well. One of the armoured cars was destroyed, and the others escaped. So they could obviously hold up to the sort of little cranky armoured cars the Germans were driving around in. See, German armoured car, this all looks boxy and bendy and stuff. You put it up against a German armoured car looks really swanky and and curved and modern and awesome. In actual fact, they were both made out of the same tin. They were both rubbish. But the German cars just had a more aesthetic value, so they look slightly more modern. A little bit more like modern armoured cars, although very, very modern armoured cars are beginning to look more like these. A lot more square and not as aesthetically pleasing. Don't you think?
Well, because now our armoured cars have a metal fence around the whole thing to stop
it. Yeah.
explosions from penetrating it.
Yeah, that's silly.
Is it?
Yeah, because you could
Afghanistan? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, you could just fly over and nerf gas the whole area. Then you wouldn't need an armoured car. You could just drive around.
We don't use gas anymore.
No.
It's not a thing we use.
All right, then whatever. Just useful.
That's old stuff. That.
Yeah, you know what? We used to win wars back then. How's that working out for us? How's that? Let's drive around in armoured cars covered in bed sheets. How's that working out for us? We're winning, are we? No. We lost.
Maybe if the Americans stayed in Afghanistan along with us, we might have won.
I'm sorry, but they lost. Their combat doctrine is rubbish. That is not how you fight a war.
What, you say you could do better?
The average bloke in the street could do better. Look, you go into a village...
Is there average people around here?
Yeah, you go into a village, if there's been an attack and ambush, you check everybody, make them take the shirts off. If they've got bruises on their shoulder, you shoot them into a ditch.
No, you shoot them in the head while standing.
Whatever. Right? Guess what? Because they're terrorists, they're the guys attacking you. Because they've got bruises on their arms, because they've been firing AK-47 or Tukarev. And they put bruises on their arm.
Why does everybody relate everything to an AK-47? There's way more machine guns than just an AK-47.
Well, there's a lot more Tukarevs in the world than AKs. But most people think that Tukarevs are AKs. And nowadays you can buy American stuff.
If you're going to go to the terrorist stage, terrorists don't just use AK-47s, they use a variety of guns.
Well, they buy whatever they can get their hands on.
Precisely. They don't just... as if you're going to go to a gun store and say, can I have an AK-47?
And you're also making the mistake of calling them terrorists, because some of them are on our side. So they're glorious freedom fighters.
They're exactly the same.
Until next month, when we decide they're terrorists.
Yeah.
And then they're terrorists again. And then a month after, the original terrorists are now on our side. It's a grand old game of silly buggers like we used to play in the Empire days. But, that's human nature. But anyway, I've digressed again, haven't I? I've gone off on one. So, this is the Ursus Armoured car in the Second World War. Now, one thing they certainly did have to put up with was terrorists, insurgent troops. Basically, both the Russians and the Germans had insurgent troops operating within Polish borders. You had Ukrainians who didn't want to be part of Poland anymore. In the south, you had White Russians who didn't want to be in Poland anymore, who wanted to be part of Russia, because Poland was made up of multiple countries all put together and invented in the Treaty of Versailles. And you had a large amount of Germans who lived there who considered themselves German, not Polish. So you had a lot of people who didn't really have a stake in the survival of Poland as a country. They wanted to go back to their homeland. And so that's where your armoured cars come in pretty useful as rear police duty. Because when your tanks and your regular infantry are fighting at the front line, you have to deal with people cutting phone lines and stuff and taking over the odd post office and cutting because the telegraph communications used to be the post offices. So then you have to have these little armoured cars that would be very useful to drive around, and it would give you a little bit of armoured protection against guys who would be armed only with rifles and the odd light machine gun.
Although the insurgents used to plant bombs around the regular area.
Oh yeah, and if you're playing bolt action, they do, yeah. The last campaign we just played, we had insurgents helping out the Russians. They didn't work out that well, did they?
No bombs went off.
Yeah.
All duds.
Yeah.
Because you have to roll 6. Come on.
Yeah, you have to roll 6.
That's impossible.
Look up the rule book. In the new rule book, the army list which has the Polish in it. It has options for insurgent troops. And if you look at our last campaign, we just fought the first 2 videos.
I'd say only the first one because they both didn't even go off, so...
Well, no, the bombs. I'm not about the bombs, I'm on about the actual insurgents.
You actually talk about the insurgents in episode 1.
Yeah, but so basically you have insurgent troops who fought for the Russians and fought for Germany on different sides. A lot more on the Russian side, because a lot of the Germans had already left. Poland was trying to get all the ethnic Germans to leave Poland. They wanted them to leave. So a lot had already left, whereas they hadn't really done the same on the Russian side. So you had a lot more people who were more pro-Russian on the Russian side of Poland than the German side. So the Poles didn't have to put up with too much German agitation, because a lot of those people had either left or were actually in German occupied territory by the outbreak. So that's when the armoured cars come in really handy, and that's what we used them for in the first game we played, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Basically we had an armoured car with some infantry supporting it, taking on some insurgents that had taken over the church, hadn't they?
On episode 1. Yeah, the church.
Yeah, they tried to occupy the church and we had to fight for it, which was a good game.
And I sent the cavalry in, destroyed them, and then met my regular infantry, shot them to bits.
Yeah. So in bolt action, we for the Eastern Front for Poland, we used the insurgency infantry to support the Russians, because they're sort of local people who are usually members of the Communist Party who will rise up and help the Russian invaders, because as far as they're concerned, it's their homeland. So they're fighting not necessarily for the Russians, they're fighting for their own independence, which they thought the Russians would give them.
Well, no, the Russians, in their amazing speeches, say that they're fighting for the motherland.
Well, that's only for Russia itself. Russians are many different groups of people. So if you're Georgian or Chechnyan, you're not allowed to serve in the Russian army.
Because
Stalin wouldn't let them.
Yeah.
Stalin banned them from serving in the Russian army.
The only ones who were allowed to were, I forgot the name. They were pro against whatever it was.
Cossacks.
Cossacks.
Yeah, Cossack. If you're a Cossack, you could join the Russian army. Unless you were a Cossack in Crimea or the Don.
I mean, ones who lived in Russia.
Yeah, the Crimean and the Don Cossacks were banned from serving in the Russian army because Stalin didn't trust them, so they joined the Germans.
That's my Stalin trusts no one. He didn't trust his wife.
No, well, read one of his biographies. The guy was nuts.
But the guy died, and everyone was too scared to go in and check on him because they were scared they were going to kill him.
Yeah, because they're just scared of him, basically. But that was a lot later on. I mean, we're talking, this is 1939.
No, it was still exactly the same, evil.
Well, pretty much. He didn't actually become head of state legally until 1939. Oh, no, until 1941.
Did Stalin care?
He was effective head of state, but he was only the leader of the house. Leader of... A bit like, it was like Prime Minister, but not Prime Minister. He's sort of the head of the party, but he wasn't actually in charge. He was like chief secretary. And then when the Germans invaded, they made him the dictator. A lot of it's semantics. He had all the power already anyway, but just talking legally as far as we're concerned, which is how he was able to put all these mistakes and problems onto other people, because it wasn't him that was in charge.
Yeah.
He was able to blame other people for either his own mistakes or...
Like when he told his unit to advance, they advanced and he went, "Oh, you lost my entire platoon. Oh, I'm going to shoot you for doing that. But you told me. Oh, it's against me."
Brody, where the the commander of the Russian army said, "If you attack, you'll fail." And Stalin said, "Attack anyway." So he attacked.
And Stalin shot him.
Yeah, Stalin shot him for fraternization with the enemy, I think he was accused of.
I mean, Stalin just shot himself for doing what he did. Because he's killing all his commanders, following his orders.
Yeah, well, that's what megalomaniacs do, isn't it? Just look at the world.
Stalin, the person that everyone's afraid of, scared of his own life.
Well, yeah, I'd have been scared of my own wife. Yeah. So anyway, I mean, God, the guy even let his son die.
Yeah, he did.
His son was captured by the Germans.
Wait, it was found that his son his son was hanged, correct?
I think they shot him.
I thought it was hanged.
The Germans took him prisoner and tried to exchange him. They contacted the Russians and said, we want to make peace, because the Germans had realised they were losing at this point. So they said, well, hand your son over if we could sue for peace. And Stalin basically said, I don't know, kill him.
Oh.
Yeah, so after a few months of thinking about it, the Germans eventually, I think they shot him, but they might have hung him. It's a long time since I've read any about that, but that's. I mean, obviously, if it was you, I wouldn't have been stupid enough to let you be in the front line in the first place.
Nah, I got captured. Like, yeah, oh, wait. Can you make him record some videos first for us?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're running out.
Can we set up some sort of web feed so we can do videos?
Right, we've got 100 videos, right, you can kill him now.
Yeah, no.
No, please, no!
I think if we're in a situation where I'm in charge of a country and you're in charge of one of my army groups, then we're in a way worse position than...
Someone's in charge. You hear when people say, walk slowly, men, yes.
Yes, your brother would be more one British officer. It would be a jolly good idea to walk slowly in front of the enemy machine guns. It's what they won't expect us to do this time. Yes, that's exactly what he would do.
Trench warfare, the greatest.
Yes, he thinks that trench warfare is awesome. He's an idiot. No, don't fight in trenches, it's silly. If you get yourself in trenches, stop attacking. It's not going to work. Go around the side.
Or just dig under.
You have a huge navy. Use it. No, well, but can't use a navy because it might sink. Oh, really? That's what it's for.
You're just going to lose the whole army instead.
No, the whole point is your ships sink, but more of theirs sink. That's the point. You sink their ships too. And they've got less ships than you. You can afford to take the casualties.
And your Navy's more advanced, don't you?
Actually, the German Navy was more advanced than the British, because we use computers. And our battleships use computers, which unfortunately were rubbish.
What do you use now?
Well, we use modern computers and radars and stuff, but back then they used a computer machine, a clicky-clacky machine that you turn the lever on, and you would put in the direction of the enemy ship, and then you would put in the direction of your ship, and it would tell you, and the speed and everything, and it would tell you when to fire, and what range to put it on. Unfortunately, the Germans didn't really care about computers and stuff, and they just sort of ignored the rules, and they did stuff like charging at the enemy and stuff, which meant our shots used to miss, because the Germans are going too fast.
Very good idea, though.
Yeah, it's a good idea if your enemy decides to behave exactly like you. But the German tactics in the Navy were complete opposite to our tactics. Our tactics was to form a big line and fire as guns. The German tactic was to charge really fast at us and fire their guns.
I've noticed we've been talking about Navy when we're supposed to be talking about an armoured car.
Well, look, that's why people watch these videos. They never know what they're going to get. So, I mean, yeah, there's a picture of an armoured car.
May as well just say armoured car, or is it?
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
But I'm just explaining how these things work. And the insurgents thing was actually related to this armoured car thing, so it's not like I'm jumping off on one.
Why?
No, it wasn't, because they use them in the rear areas. That's what armoured cars are mainly used for. The Germans built armoured cars for reconnaissance, which was not what... These were not 4x4. They were not really suited to going off-road or anything. They were designed for basically local police duty, which is what most armoured cars are designed for. The German armoured cars were designed to go seriously off-road. Those car manufacturers in Germany love their off-road cars. So they are nice 4x4, 4x6s, 8x8, so the Rad 8, 8x4, the Rad 8, which was a massive 8-wheeler armoured car, which could really go anywhere. I mean, anywhere it wanted. and it even had a dozer blade on the front, so it could go through bushes and walls and stuff. You know what a dozer blade is?
No.
You ever seen a bulldozer?
No.
One of those big yellow things that moves stuff. The big yellow machine things on building sites.
Which one?
Yeah,
do you know there's like 5 types of yellow things that do stuff in construction?
Do you know the one with the diggy spoon thing?
Which one?
The one with the diggy spoon that picks rubble up. I don't care. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know you're talking about.
Have you ever seen the one with the dozer blade on the front? A blade on the front that pushes stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah?
They're both the same.
Like in a zombie film and they're moving all the dead bodies into a pit, yeah? When they use a dozer blade for the shot. And it's usually not even on the end of a tractor, it's usually put on a rail, but you don't see that on camera. Sorry, I'm going into filmmaking now.
Yeah.
But yes,
it's actually a nerd.
It had a blade.
When it actually finishes recording, it just goes on computers and listens to like zombie things and behind the scenes of Deadpool.
Well, yeah, I'm more interested in how they make films than watching the film, because most films, other than Deadpool, most films are absolutely rubbish.
Saving Private Ryan, that's pretty good.
It's an awful film. So I like to find out how they made the film. That's more interesting. Watching how they made the film documentary is more interesting than watching the film, I've found. Apart from the Star Treks, which are awesome to watch, and they're awesome documentaries too.
God, I hate Star Trek.
I love Star Trek. Oh, you don't like Star Trek?
I don't like Star Trek Enterprise.
But all the Trekkies are so down with the new films. I like the new films. I don't get why people have a problem with them. Just don't take them as canon, or take them as new canon. Don't worry about it.
I've got words.
You've got words?
I forgot words.
There's words and stuff, yeah.
My brain's blow up.
Right. So in that case, let's get back to the armoured cars. So how would you use them tactically? We've done a history, we've done what they've got, what they're armed with. It's basic armoured car, armour of 7, which means it's 6 on the side, but it's 7 front and back. Very important. Then it's got guns. It's got a 37mm gun, which is a howitzer stroke anti-tank gun with a +3 pen. 2 DHE, very good. Onto the MMGs. It's got MMGs, it's got 2 machine guns, one on the back or front, whichever way you want to look at it, and one in a turret. Tactics.
I use it to support infantry and pin down enemy units.
Yeah, that's basically what I do with an armoured car.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah. I found to use it defensively, I just parked it in a wood.
Parked it in the wood.
Yeah, I parked it in a wood, so it got that extra cover bonus for being in the wood.
And they both still blow up.
Yeah, because you're firing large amounts of guns at them. They are quite a large target, after all. They're huge, but yeah, that is a downside, really. But if you're going to have a Polish army, you need at least one armoured car, especially if you're going to use Russian insurgents. I completely recommend going to Warlord and getting the insurgent pack. There's a box set, £15 box set. If you look through our videos, you can find them. We've done a video on them. We've painted them up.
Right, we haven't done a lot of unboxing videos since, have we?
No, because we did all of them at the same time, and then we painted all the stuff up.
Yeah,
so
because we needed videos while doing the game room.
Yeah, because we could not film while we didn't have a room to film in. So we're trying to make it.
The place where we used to film our videos was full of all the stuff we took out of this room.
Yep.
So we could fit everything in.
So anyway, that's the end of the video.
So if you enjoyed this video, please do like and subscribe. And comment down below if you like Star Trek or Star Trek Enterprise. I love Star Trek Enterprise. I don't like Star Trek.
Archer or Kirk?
Archer.
So it's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from him.
Goodbye.
Mr.